It's time now for our Entre Nous segment. Today we're talking about what it takes to become a French citizen or a long-term visa holder here. For more on this, I'm joined on the set by Solange Mougin. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Jeannie.
So as of January 1st, there have been new rules in place to gain citizenship and visas here in France. What are those rules?
Well, it has become a lot tougher to get this prized document or even a long-term visa. But before we get into these new rules, such as the civics test and such as the higher language requirements, we need to talk about George Clooney. There was so much buzz in December when he was granted French citizenship along with his wife and his children. But when the news came out in the Journal Officiel, as these things do, that the Clooneys were now French, many people began raising questions about his language level, especially because of the timing of this. He was naturalized just a few days before a new language requirement went into place. And Mr. Clooney, well, his French, it isn't really there yet.
Désolé, my French is horrible.
No.
It's horrible. So I'm learning, but I don't have it very good yet.
So there are a lot of soft power reasons why accepting the Clooneys is a good idea for France. The now Franco-American has repeatedly praised his life here in France and in Europe. But one deputy minister actually called it out, saying that there was a double standard going on, that this wasn't the right message to send. To which the Quai d'Orsay, the foreign ministry, they explained in a communique that under Article 2112, the foreign minister can grant citizenship to anyone who essentially makes France shine, which is what the Clooneys benefited from. So they probably never would have had to take a language or a civics test anyway, as they are viewed as exceptional cases. But beyond fame, there are also other sort of naturalization exceptions, such as asylum seekers, Algerian nationals as well, for example.
Okay, but what about everyone else? There are new, more difficult tests that are being rolled out.
Yeah, in addition to the more challenging language requirement, which we'll get into in a second, there is this new civics exam. Before it was an interview where you would be asked a lot of questions, so depending on who was asking, it could be harder or easier.
That's what I had, very easy.
Now there is a multiple choice test. There are 40 questions. You have to get 80% of them right. You can take it again if you fail, but it does cost the applicant anywhere between 70 and 200 euros. The price isn't set nationally. Now, the test is broken up into 5 different themes: the principles and values of the Republic, institutions and politics, fundamental rights and obligations, history, geography, culture, and what it's like living in French society. Now, some of these questions are quite easy, like what's the 14th of July? What currency do we use? What's the number you call for firefighters? But some of the questions are very hard, like what year by law was there a separation between church and state in France? 1905. What day do you celebrate Europe? And that's actually a tricky one because it's the 5th of May for the Council of Europe, and the answer is the 9th of May for the European Union. Why is 1958 important in France? It's considered the start of the Fifth Republic. Is school mandatory for all children residing in France? It is. So this is just a case in point to show that this test requires some studying in addition to the civics class that is given. And I'd wager that there are a lot of French people who are born French that would potentially fail the exam.
Probably. And in addition to that, there's a tougher language requirement now as well.
Yeah, before having a French diploma sufficed, but now the level that is required has increased. For citizenship, it is now a written and oral B2 level or upper intermediate. For someone who's seeking a resident permit, not nationality, you have to be at B1. For someone applying for their first multi-year visa, the level is now A2 or elementary. And for some, getting to those levels, well, it's quite hard and requires hours and hours of classes.
The problem is I can't. I don't have the time. And the second problem is I wasn't born in France. I didn't study here. I don't have the required level. That's the problem.
It's really a level that is too high for most foreigners requesting naturalization or a long-term visa in France. You have to account for between 2,000 and 3,000 hours of French classes to reach that level, so it's really unattainable.
Now, adding to this challenge is the fact that France now has cut state-run, in-person language classes with digital help provided now only in most cases.
So, right, all of this raises the question, are these tests designed to actually bring immigration numbers down in France?
Well, that's the argument that many rights groups and many center and left-leaning politicians are making, that these hurdles, along with other bureaucratic ones, are part of what they call une machine à sans-papiers, or a push to create illegal immigrants that can then be expelled from France, including foreign nationals that have lived here for years, have jobs here, and are integrated in society. And the numbers show that the acceptance of renewals, or régularisation as it's called here, they have dropped and drastically by 42% in the first 9 months of 2025. This shows the effect that a memorandum by former Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau, the effect that has made in the past year. That document, which is not legally binding, but which sets the guidelines for prefects, it has changed the rules. And this is the same Bruno Retailleau that signed into effect just 2 days before leaving the Interior Ministry this new civics test and higher language bar. So we'll see the effects of that in the coming months. But of course, it remains a wider and politically divisive issue in France. And I think it's safe to say that there is a general tightening of the belt in France and across Europe, be it for foreigners from developing countries or be it for rich Americans like George Clooney, who are part of a wider exit that is going on.
Absolutely. Solange, thank you for that look at what it takes to become French. You are watching France 24. Stay with us.